Welcome, and thanks for tuning in to our latest ManpowerGroup 2020 Workforce Analytics Update. I'm Raylene Gagnon, Vice President of Global Market Intelligence at ManpowerGroup Talent Solutions. My goal is to deliver the most important facts you need to know about what's happening in the labor market right now during COVID-19, along with what you need to consider as an employer to make the smartest decisions for your organization. So let's get into it, because employers are facing two hurdles right now in their plan to return to work or return their workforce to on-site. One, of course, is competitive compensation, with a number of wages being offered by state unemployment temporarily being higher than previous levels and requiring some additional part-time considerations. Of course, there were also some ongoing expectations of certain workers for some additional flexibility now that some of their jobs have been potentially made remote ready. Another thing to consider, and I'd like to dive into this for a minute, is childcare restrictions. Because even though we as employers are starting to return to work or planning our phased approach to returning to work, many childcare coverage sites, daycare facilities, and summer programs are still remaining closed for the near-term future. In addition, many schools are on the fence or have already determined they may not be opening through the remainder of the year in the fall. As such, many individuals and candidates and workers alike are facing a need for additional shift flexibility or remote work options in order to support their household needs with regard to childcare coverage. One quick view from the Childcare Aware of America group shows that even though a number of states have reopened childcare access, most have done so at limited capacity, either only supporting childcare services for essential personnel or only being able to open at limited capacity in order to ensure that social distancing is in effect as much as possible. In addition to that, a number of them do still remain closed or only have a phased opening in plan. These are things to consider as you think about your own location strategies and your own workforce return to work. Just to quickly go back to that compensation view, I don't want to leave it unnoticed that MarketWatch reported last week and quantified the impact of the CARE Act on unemployment benefits nationwide. In essence, over 65% of jobless workers may be bringing home more money today from state unemployment than they were at their previous job. 1 in 5 eligible workers are receiving close to twice, if not more than double, their previous earnings, and 40% of jobs paying less than $40,000 per year in February were gone in March. However, unemployment levels are offering alternatives to that at this time. Now, median earnings with those that are claiming unemployment right now are coming in at an average of 134% of previous wages. So while we do still have a number of individuals out on unemployment, in fact, well over 35 million continue to have jobless claims, some are working part-time or some are holding off on their efforts to return to work. These are all things to consider as we think about what our own hiring and sourcing strategies will be moving forward in the future. One last note, as we always do, we touch upon the number of jobs available in the United States. U.S. job availability has increased over 10% this week, and we have over 6.5 million jobs available. Of those, nearly 1.4 million jobs do not specify a location. And amongst those remote-ready jobs are some familiar and some new roles that we've been talking about throughout the course of these past few weeks. Software developers, particularly with applications development, remain at the top of the list. Over 8% of those remote jobs are for that individual role. Coming in second, and one we haven't spoken about too much, is interpreters, with nearly 8% of those remote job opportunities. I'd like to just call out, too, that interpreters and translators are two different roles, as interpreters tend to have less experience required and are more informal in their translation and language proficiency requirements. In fact, although translators have only increased by about 30% year over year, interpreters have increased by over 580%, with over 100,000 jobs available nationwide today. Other roles of high interest include insurance agents, analysts, help desk, customer service, and a number of IT positions that we've been talking about in recurring weeks. Again, these positions are starting to look like there may be more inclination towards housing them remotely moving forward. Now, our team continues to monitor the markets and workforce trends daily. I'll come back to you next week with the latest. Until then, stay tuned and stay healthy.